Welcome back, everybody. We had a little mishap with the audio before, but I think it's working now. I know it's working now. It better be working now. But what's life without challenges? What's life without things to happen to keep you sharp? And like I was saying before, KW, you were on the first show. I let the beat play a little longer so you could vibe to it. Probably toward the end, I'll let it run like a couple minutes so we can it just does something to me. It just strengthens me. Well, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Lancescurv Show. NFN Shaka, welcome. Welcome. Come on all the way from, you say it, type it in the room, and I'm going to put it up there, right? International with it, you know? But like I was saying before, when the volume wasn't up and the audio was deadened, I was saying that I reached a place that existed. I reached a place that I yearned for many years. Working, and it's not just about work, it's having the time to do what it is that you love to do. And not only having the time, but knowing how to manage your time, knowing how to immerse yourself deeply with no barriers, with no resistance. It's a very, very special time for me. Am I driving a Bentley? No, I don't even have a car right now. That's by design. I'm on a budget. Am I globe-trotting all over the place? No. Am I eating at the most expensive restaurants? No. But there are not many people who feel the way I do right now, being centered, being where I want to be, where I always crave to be, because as a creative, that's what I love. You have other people who like nice things, which I do like and appreciate nice things. But at the forefront of my desire, those things don't matter to me. Status doesn't matter to me. That's just the way it is. It's different. So I can truthfully say that I don't have any obstacles right now as far as the negative energies. I've cleared all brush it off. They're impotent to do anything to stop me. As you can see, the work and the body of work is coming fast, and it's going to come even faster, effortlessly. Like Floyd Mayweather used to say, easy work. So now that I'm at this point and I reflect back on why it might have been so many obstacles in the way, because on an energy level, the negative energies are only doing their job. You're like that individual playing American football, and you have the ball in your hand, but a whole other team has strategized on how to keep you from making that touchdown. And so you got to be wise. One might grab you on the shoulder. One might try to knock one of your legs and make you trip. And you might even trip and roll and get up again and keep going as long as you have that ball. And so now I find myself in the I have my goals, and I've reached certain goals, but I'm about to make a lot of touchdowns right now, one at a time. And so now I'm free, and the goal is in front of me, and I don't see any negativity around me, because sometimes you got to go underground and build and be silent, even while being a public person. And then when you unearth what it is that you unearth, it's like, didn't stop him. We thought he was dead. It's almost like they're looking at a ghost. You're not supposed to be. What happened? We thought we killed your spirit. We thought we stopped you. So always keep that in mind, because most who understand what I'm saying will understand this to be the truth. And what a sweet feeling it is. Thank you all for being here. There's only a few here. I'm saying this for this particular live stream. When it goes out as a video and you come to look at it later on, thank you for rocking with me. And I have to appreciate the team that I have, seen and unseen. I have an unseen team on a spiritual level and on a physical level. And the ones that are seen that we see in the chat room that come here, make comments. I'm loving it right now. So I am where I want to be. And one more thing before we get on with the topic of the show. See, you have it in your heart to achieve something. And many can see the light that you have inside of you. And it irks them. It bothers them. You just being who you are. You don't have to light. I was speaking with a sister about this very same thing. And she made a quote. We were texting and voicemailing back and forth. And she is very influential. And she said, you know, the light that people see in me either inspires them or it irks them. You don't have to realize why it does. Because to try to realize what it is, you're only going to waste your time. You turn your energies in on yourself, even when the world feels it. You're diminished, you're destroyed, you're knocked down, you'll never come back. Well, today is February 27th, Thursday, 2025, and it's been a wonderful ride, and I am where I want to be. So buckle your seatbelts, and we're going to have some good conversations. We're going to have, I'm going to really attempt to do that more so now that my schedule is a little more relaxed. The next bit of work here that we have coming soon won't distract or take me away from doing it, where I can say at this time every day, you know, we're going to do it. So we're going to do that. And that, when I do something early, it's almost always where we come back with something later on. So, you know, I try to satisfy everybody. And for the time that I'm sleeping, I might record something to go up at the time when other people are up and I'm sleeping. So I want to be around the clock. And I want to also continue to write. I love writing. I fell off of it for a long time because I got so much into the YouTube thing. But we're going to be balanced across the board. I'm not a one-trick pony. I'm not a person who just sits here. I can take a pen, and there's always a pen. We come up with stuff, and I want you to me and let me know what you want us to talk about. It could be as far as a show or something in written form, because I want to really share the full range of my talents and not just be somebody who is gabbing about the same old narrow things on YouTube. And that's a great way to find the narrow-minded people that follow you, because you're talking about one thing. You know, you have platforms out here that, and I'm going to use this example. This is something that I know. I think I spoke about it before. There are content creators who have niches. Some people don't care. They're just all over the place. That's cool too. But you have others who they focus in on the pain of other people, the frustration of other people. Let's take, for example, and I'm not picking on these particular type of women, but I'm talking about something that I personally know many years ago. There's a woman who, and she thinks she's still around, but she was done wrong by many men. She had situations where the relationships that she was in, if you can call it that, it didn't get to that point all the way she thought it was, but these guys. So after a while, time is wasted. It's not about a biological clock. Maybe it could be, but every woman wants to be in a relationship. Now, when they say they don't, it's because they've been hurt and they're reacting that way. I don't need a man. I don't want a man. Men are no good. Men are bad. Men waste your time. Men this, men that. But they're talking about men. If they didn't really want a man, they wouldn't be talking about it so much. Isn't that something? So you have platforms that the people who run these platforms, whether it's something political, whether it's something anti-homosexual, whether it's something anti-man from a hetero woman. I don't need a man. I don't need a man. And we're going to talk about that. Well, let's get off the point, which is off the point, to make another point. Remember Eddie Long, Bishop Eddie Long. I did several videos on him years ago. I'll try to bring them back. But long before he got into the whole scandal with those boys, and they accused him of messing around. They were underage, they were teenage. The part about it was, for the longest time, he was ranting against homosexuality from the pulpit. Now, you know, people tip me off to a lot of things. I didn't know who Eddie Long was. And this is long before, that's when it broke. Before everything with Eddie Long broke, I was just writing and drawing. But people were reaching out to me. Say, hey, Lance, you know about Eddie Long? I'm like, who is Eddie Long? You know about him? He's a bishop here in Atlanta, or was it Alpharetta? Or, I don't know Georgia like that, but he was somewhere in Georgia, right? A major part of Georgia. I don't think it was Atlanta. It's like, and this guy who tipped me off, because I get tips from everywhere. This was a guy who was in the gay community. Sweet D, Sweet D. Yes. Oh, great, great. And I want you to have a wonderful day. You know, I got to line up my time where I can catch everybody at certain times. So this might be a good time to always come on. Now that my schedule is getting to be more defined. You know, it's not as crazy. Did a lot of work yesterday. There's so much work that when I'm uptown, the roundabout, that's what we call it, because it's like a bunch of roads that come together, and it's this roundabout, and it has like bushes and trees and lights and everything. So we say, oh, the roundabout. I was so into the work, I forgot that I did not, you know, clean off my shoes, my legs. I was dusty, I was ashy. I'm walking out, and people are looking down at me, right? But anyway, this particular gentleman, who was a gay man, gay black man, he was like, oh, you know, I read your stuff all the time. I know you're not really with what I do, but I still love you. I said, I don't hate you. You know, we were texting back and forth. He said, but did you hear about Eddie Long? I said, no, who is Eddie Long? I think I heard the name before, but it's like, I don't know who this is. So he told me, he's like, he's a bishop. This is years before. This is how information circulates. But he's always up in the gay club. I'm like, what? And he's like, well, the main thing about him, he's always speaking against homosexuality. I said, but he's in the gay club. I said, how is he brazen enough? I said, is he well known? He said, yeah, he's got to make a church. Make a church, or you up in the gay club? They said, yeah, but you know, he puts on wigs. He wears the dark glasses. She says, oh, he's cock diesel because he used to work out, right? And he was working out more toward when the scandal broke. I guess he wanted to be more attractive to those who might be susceptible to his advances. Let's just say that. So I said, man, there's something. But I didn't have anything, and I wasn't really into, let me break this news. Oh, but I will break news. But I'm not going to go and not research and not know. I'm not into really breaking news. If a person wants to come on and talk about what they feel is something that is of note that can help other people, because me telling you this prevents you from getting caught up in a decision, well, I'll have you come on. But that's on you. But if it's something obviously not true, we're not going to do it. I got to validate it. I had a lot of frauds come on the show and just want to bark and use it to hurt somebody and say things that are not true. But most of the time, I never had a problem. So years went by, and Madam Whipass, who I'm going to have her on the show soon, we were speaking the other day, he brought this to me. I was like, whoa, it's true. And it ended up being true. So going back to these other platforms, like I was speaking about, these niche platforms that they only focus on one thing, and it's sensationalism, and they're exploiting the feelings of those who have gone through stuff. So that particular type, let's just pick one type, like I said before, the men ain't no good niche. The men are all cheaters niche. The men are all lazy niche. The black men are all lazy. The black men are all cheaters. The black men, blah, 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 blah. So these platforms sit like fly paper, and to every, see my finger broke? My finger's broke, and I'm just noticing now. I put it up, right? Little pinky. So anyway, they sit up like fly paper, and people who find themselves in this mindset, they get stuck on it because they have other people who can sympathize with how they feel. So you have all of these hurt women, and you have the ringleader of this platform, rah, rah, rah. Yeah. So this ringleader who has this platform becomes the president of these women in a sense. I don't mean they rule their whole life of the people who follow them, but it's like they want to get another dose of this feeling that they feel because they're hurting right now because they either realize that or come to this realization thinking that all black men are this way and all, and that's not the case, y'all. There are a lot of good black men. And you have many. You could be talking about, and this is something I noticed down to the years too. You could be talking about something completely different. You could be talking, I'm going to exaggerate to make a point. You could be talking about the finer points of gardening, how to prepare the soil and have it fertile and rich and ready, and what you can add to it. And you have comments and people will suggest things. Well, I use this, and you have to check the pH balance of this and the right time, and don't put the seed too deep, whatever. And then you have somebody get on in the comments on a topic that has nothing to do with that. Black men ain't nothing. We know all men cheat. These no good men. Wait a second. What kind of state of mind are you in? This has nothing to do with the topic we're speaking about. But they come with all of this stuff, not realize that they are toxic. They need healing. And they don't even see how what they've been through, which is real, and I'm not knocking them for that, but don't you take out the garbage every now and then on a regular? I said every now and then to be funny. If you don't take out the garbage out of your house, and you start noticing little gnats and flies and mice and rats and, you know, so we have people who fan the flames of these platforms, and this is other stuff too, all different topics of human nature across the board. I just chose this one to make an example. So she will fan the flames, or this particular woman I'm talking about, this is real now, right? She fans the flames of these women's pain, not trying to help heal it, but to keep it going. Because if she keeps it going, she can build a huge community based on the hurt and pain of these black women who, and other women who come on. It's about that, but this is a black base. This one I'm talking about in particular, I don't know if it's still around, but I know somebody who knows her personally. I've spoken to her. I've had her on shows a long time ago. Maybe most wouldn't even remember. And she has sold books, and I have her coming on to, you know, sell her books and whatever she wants. That's the way I do. I'm not saying, well, you got to give me money, but no, come on and sell it. People are interested, right? And I noticed that that's what it was. So she had a page. I won't say where it is. It was on Facebook. So I saw the stuff that she had, and I saw other stuff. So I figured, well, this is not her preaching hate about all black men ain't good, but that's what she was pushing. So when she came around me, she kind of held back a little bit. You know, you got that gay dude who, when he's on his own out in the web, he's talking. When he gets back around family, he don't agree with that. How are you doing? Oh, yes, I'm fine. He puts the bass back in his voice. So she didn't push that as fast and as much with me, because she must have looked through my stuff and said, okay, he's not really with hating on black women, and, you know, he's married. So I didn't fit the program. I didn't fit the mold of what she wanted to show out to the world. So I supported her. I went on her page one night on Facebook, and we were talking on it. It was a conversation, but Usually when I get to somebody else's like Facebook page and it's a group room, I don't just come on in there. No, I'm like that little girl. I'm not a girl. I'm just saying like that little girl waiting to jump double dutch. She on the side waiting, timing it, seeing both ropes. Then you jump in. So I'm picking up the flow of the conversation and said, okay, jump in and say something. Let me say something neutral. I didn't see the hate yet. So I jumped in and said something that was appropriate. It wasn't challenging anybody. Didn't have any attitude. I did introduce myself briefly, and we went back and forth a little while. Then somebody came out. Where do you live? At the time, I was living in Orlando, Florida, the East Coast. I said, I live in Orlando, Florida. And they were like, well, it's got to be about 3 o'clock in the morning over there. Because see, these folks who were talking, the room is for everybody. But these were mostly folks from the West Coast, so it was a lot earlier. Could have been like 12 midnight or whatever. The internet never stops. Okay? So they said, well, what are you doing online at 3? Are you married? I said, yes. So wait a second. Then they started piling up. A married man on Facebook in a room that's filled with women, 3 o'clock in the morning. We know what you're all about. Then they tore me up. Look at him. Where's your wife? I said, she's in the bed sleeping. Well, why are you up? And I was answering the questions, knowing where it was going, knowing how it fit what they wanted to describe me as, but I know I'm not that. I had just got home from work. I clocked out 1:45, made a stop at Walmart, got home, and I had stuff to do online. I was doing stuff online. This part, talking, is the easy part when we do a live stream. All that writing and tagging up stuff and distributing this and that and making sure everything's right. Like I came on 53 minutes ago and there was no sound. So I had to pull everything down, set everything back up behind the scenes. It's not like I just pick up the phone like some people do and click the phone and that's it. Right? I like to present something a little more enjoyable. So they tore me up. So I, out of respect to the woman who owned the room, I said, listen, I just got out of work. I do a lot of stuff online. Oh, I bet you do. I said, listen, y'all can check out. They didn't check nothing out. They just went off on their own tangent. I triggered all of them off and they didn't even focus on me no more. They all started getting back in their pain. Now, why am I saying all this? I'm saying all this because the woman who runs the show and runs the platform, who basically it's a I hate black men thing. Basically, if you're in pain and you're out of a relationship, you can come here and bash black men with the rest of the sisters. And this is not all women, right? But this is what she feeds on. And this is what many people, and I'm going to tell you another funny thing too, right? Come to find out, I'm not going to tell all her business, but there's somebody who knew her closely who said, Lance, you know she's not really about. No, she started it out when she was in pain with a black man who showed himself not to be true. That's all I'll say. And she just started ranting online and it caught on. And other women got on who were going through stuff. And so she said, I could make money this way. And so she set up these different rooms. She started writing books. She started going on different shows. And she didn't just come on there, how you doing? Black men ain't no good. She would write about relationships, how to protect yourself against a no good black man, how to see the red flags that let you know he's a no good black man. It all circulated around that. So she kept coming up with different things. So she built this platform. But the bottom line is, what I heard about her personal life is, and there's something I can say, she was desperately looking for a good black man. She was desperately finding herself in different circles where she's dating, and she was dating good men, and she eventually found somebody. But guess what? She has this very lucrative platform where she feeds off of the pain of black women who have been burnt by black men who are lower vibrational and they didn't know it. It happens. She had to keep it going. So she kept her platform under wraps. In any relationship, she got into relationships, one or two, it wasn't anything bad. They just weren't for each other. And I think she's happily married now, but to a black man who's treating her right, wonderful, balanced relationship, but she's handcuffed. You know, if her followers knew how she was living, it's everything against what she says. So for what I'm hearing, she might have her man, her husband next to her. She's on there on the shows. You know, these black men are just no good. Let's hear from a sister from Arkansas who just broke up. Tell it, sister. Tell it. Yeah. Whatever her name is. I know her name, but I'm not going to say it. Yeah, sister. I just broke up with a black man, and yeah, it ain't no good. Meanwhile, her husband's cooking breakfast for her and kissing her on the cheek. They can't see this out. She'll hide her face. And so when you see these people online, many who are pro-black and they must speak a certain way, if you knew their personal lives, if you really knew their personal lives, it's usually not what they try to portray. There's a lot of narcissism out here. There's a lot of attention seeking out here. I don't understand it. I enjoy doing what I do. There are many people who have met me in person, met Mrs. Scurv, come to the house when we had the house in Orlando. There's still a lot of rhetoric going around. It's funny. Just be who you are, stick to your game plan, and be authentic, and let the nation. That's what you do. Because sometimes there have been things that I've said in the past that I really felt was the truth about certain things, and I've come back like, yo, I'm seeing it this way now. I'm growing. I'm not going to be in some rigid niche where I put myself up like some kind of marionette puppet and I spew the same things. There are things maybe that I say today that later on, 2 or 3 years from now, I'll come back and say, you know, I don't know what show it was, but I said this. And there are some people who come at me who see an old video, man, you were just saying, you contradicting yourself. Did you check the date of that video? Or it might be an old video that I put up that I forget to alter the date. So you might see me at the old studio in Orlando with the yellow stripes and the black stripes and think that it's now for people who just came to see what we do. But if you see it, say, oh, that's an old one. That's an old show. Of course. That's what it is. But be hip to that, y'all. Oh, the other one. Sister, I'll keep her name of the reps. There's nothing to hide, but I respect. We were talking, and she was like, you know, like Tariq Nasheed, I'll bring his name up in the FBA, you know, Foundational Black American, and they're always spewing like we're not African and we're about America and reparations. Okay, you can say what you want. It was so funny to me when she was saying how there was a video of him at a really nice hotel enjoying himself in South Africa. Don't let me catch him out here enjoying Ghana. I don't have nothing against him. I already spoke on how I feel about what he's talking about. But how hypocritical. How hypocritical. You taking all that money you getting from the people that you're rah-rahing about against African, you African people, you stink and stupid stuff. But you get up on the white man's platforms and you speak a certain way. You may speak certain things that sound good, but you're a shapeshifter, you know? Old pimp, now you change yourself to pro-black, now you're anti-African. That sounds like you're an agent. Memorandum 46. Sounds like you're an agent. I'm not going to talk about him like that, but this thing here for many people is a business. And a business-minded, very successful person that I know was telling me, it's like, listen, Lance, I know you're not here to deceive people, but the freestyling, just like you're a regular guy, you gotta box it in where you make it more of a business. I'm like, well, it's not like it's just a money thing. No, not like that. But present yourself in an orderly way, because y'all know I pop the everybody I'm on the street now. Check out what I'm seeing regular. It's not like, oh, I can't do this, whatever. And I'm always going to have the element of freestyle, but in doing my graphics a certain way and I'm going to treat it and honor it more to be something that everybody can be proud of, but not like a money grab. Cash app, hit the cash app. I have all those things down there, and it scrolls across on the bottom because there are people who do want to help because I'm on a limited income. But this is what I do. I'm not sitting here balling out rich money. And I'm going to send y'all what I make. Some of y'all that I know, I'm going to do a screenshot, be like, yo, this is what I make, but this is what I spend out. This is what I make, and this is what I spend out for different programs and stuff. And it's way less. So I have to put in independent money. So the algorithms are still there. The new channel's still here, but it's still shadow banned. I don't worry about hits. I worry about just vibing because I really enjoyed it. See that? I've been talking for 32 minutes, didn't even get on the topic yet. But that's how it is. I'm free. I'm enjoying it. I'm not, unless I have something to do, which I should have filled my little empty thing of water. I might take time and play the music and even do that for a second. But this is how I live. And whatever I see and want to talk about, whatever you want to talk about, that's what we do. But we're going to move on. And let's see the title of this particular show. And there's nothing controversial. It's just some things that I think about, I said, okay, we're going to do that because we're going to do some more of that later on. I'm going to write an article, get some breakfast, didn't eat yet. Hunger's starting to hit me. But the genetic divide. Why are we so different? One of the most fascinating aspects of human existence is how we are vastly different and how vastly different people can be. Even when they come from the same family, we've seen that. Two things: raised under the same roof, feed them with the same food, taught the same values, and exposed to the same environment. I'll go even further. You can have twins. And I'm gonna flash the banner for the show for those who came in late who don't understand what I'm talking about. Where is it? Right here. I'll pull it down in a second. You see this photo, this generated photo that I created. They're identical twins. And you see on the right side, one man who is dressed professionally, suit and tie, which doesn't mean that you have to look like that just to be successful. But when you see someone dressed this way, you pretty much say, wow, they're clean cut. The beard is trimmed nice. He's got a smile, nice smile. Teeth are in order, taking care of himself. Not that that means anything because folks who are locked up, they get that free dental work. Their teeth are fabulous. But for the most part, you see him, there's a nice home behind him, like a mini mansion. And he seems approachable. Now, his brother, his twin brother, is there looking just like him, and maybe he had a really good meal, or maybe he's about to get out in a week. He seems to be happy, but he's locked up. That's why I said the genetic divide. Why are we so different? And I set this show up last night. That's why it says February 26th. I was half asleep. I should have pushed it up for today's date. So that's my bad. But I put some genes, when you amplify them and see them, you see that little colorful thing. By no means is that some kind of rainbow type of representation. But that's what it is. Two people, same upbringing, same environment, same parents, same everything, and one can be so different from the other, and it just boggles the mind. And I don't remember what made me think about this, but I was thinking about it. So let's get back. I'll share my mug shot. Let me not call anything down on myself. I'm a law. But on one side, one might thrive, building a balanced, productive life, while the other may spiral into a cycle of recklessness, addiction, and self-destruction. And it makes you wonder, is it upbringing? Is it genetics? Or personal choices that shape us the most? And I think in many cases, it's not just the same. It may not be where, oh, they're different because there's some kind of genetic place, or you have experiences that can change us. You could have two twins, maybe they live in a different city now, and one falls on hard times. The other twin's going to feel it, and maybe he can't help the other one. And then maybe that one twin might fall into doing something illegal to make money, and then get locked up, and then have a different mindset. Because I've seen this, and this is what made me think of this, because I was speaking to my brother, dear brother, Carlos. We've known each other since 71, since I was about, I think 70, but he says 71. I was 8 years old. He was 7, so because his birthday is later than mine. So I think that's why we say the different ages. And there was a young man, I don't want to say his name. Of course, I shouldn't have to say names unless they tell me to. And this young man was raised in a very strictly religious, moderately spiritual house. It was more about religion, more about religion, more about religion. It wasn't so much, let's speak about the real spirituality, which that's a funny word that people can kind of be free flowing with, and you don't know where they're coming from. You can have a new age person. We're speaking about the higher levels of spirituality. It's like, what you're really talking about is the occult. Like, we don't know. We got to question the word spirituality a lot, but for the most part, it was mostly religious. It was like these folks were always, the parents were like, you got to be in church. You got to be in church. You got to be in church. King John, welcome on in. Good to see you here. Black Beauty always. How are you? Yes, I'm glad you're here. It's early on the East Coast. It's early in America. Well, it's getting on up there now. It's 11:08 where I am. So that's the advantage that I have, that I can do early morning shows, but it's not like I'm rubbing my eyes. Oh man, it's a 5 o'clock show. It was 4 hours difference. I'm doing it at 9. It was a 5 hours difference. I'm doing it at 10. So the hardest part is the late night shows. Hey, Scurv, why don't you do something like 11, 12, midnight? I'm like, well, that's an early morning show for me. So that's how it goes. But anyway, 8 children, 4 girls, 4 boys. I practically lived at their house. It was only 3 blocks away from me. And one of the brothers, and I think it was the third, because out of 4 boys, there were 2 older than him and 1 younger than him. And the one I'm talking about is the 1 younger than him. But the one I hung out with, we were in the same class. Way smart. Oh, I'm saying I'm smart, but he was smart. We're the same, Yeah, I'm enjoying life out here. I look a little pale because since I did the studio, I can't pull myself out of it. So I'm looking at sunlight. It's so beautiful out there. I'm gonna set it up. Watch how I set it up soon when I get this equipment set up right, where I can show outside while I'm talking. It'll go out on the balcony and do a show out there. All that's coming. I took that nice big chair that I sat on, and I just said, okay. Took a little stool here, so it's kind of hard. It's cushioned, but it's not like that one. Anyway, everybody grew up, but it was a strict thing. A strict mother from the South who migrated to the North, New York City, old Christian values. Were they Baptist or Pentecostal? I think they were Baptist. But they were Baptist, but they worship like they were Pentecostal, because it's more passionate, speaking in tongues and sinning. You a devil. I can see the devil in you type thing, and let me lay hands on you, and I'm making fun. But I used to hang with them with this, right? And they're clean, good people. We had fun. It wasn't just like, oh, I was there with them just because of religion. No, I went with them because I was always around them. I was part of their family, vice versa. So anyway, the youngest son, as everybody got older and life kind of intruded on their psyche, because they were basically raised in New York City, but they were raised in a bubble, because the mother was more so than the father. The father, he had physical challenges, and he wasn't able to work, walking around and everything. But I can't get too detailed in that. That's the business. So she was strong with it. She was strong with it. If she sensed something in the house, she's gonna have a prayer oil and water and just walk through and everything. Nice lady though. But the youngest son, everybody else, the other professions, whatever, right, did real good. But and so with daughters that or sisters that were a little older and a couple of them younger, they didn't have no influence on him. So he was the wild card. And so he got into doing little things that got bigger, that were bad, until you're doing stick ups, you're getting into fights, you're getting that energy around you. And many kids who are raised so sheltered and so rigid, and then when you throw religion in there, it's like when you finally get a taste of the outside world, boom! This is why my father and my mother, but my father as a man showed me as a man, a young man. He showed me, and I always say this, but I have to say this for people who don't know me or hear for the first time. He took me, he showed me the guys in the abandoned buildings, which I would later find out that he talked to them first, like to say, hey, I'm bringing my son around, right? And they knew him because he had his own business. He knew people all in the community in Manhattan and in Queens, but Manhattan was where he had his base. So he take me there and the guys are shooting up and he let me see the guys shooting up. And then the guys are talking, man, don't ever think about drugs, man. Drugs will mess your life up, man. You know how I got into this, man. Young ladies, and this young lady broke my heart. You know, we were living together. We were about to get married. I was working. Everything was good. And I came home and she's in the bed. And my father told him to say the words, don't hold back. Don't. Well, he's a 8-year-old or a 7-year-old guy. So just know, my father, you know, he said, say it. So I came home and you know, my best friend was effing my woman, man. You know, I couldn't believe it. I was shocked. They didn't even see me crack the door because I heard what was going on. And then she had the nerve to put his in her mouth. And she never did that for me. That blew his mind. I was like, I knew what these things were to a point, but it was like, boom, boom. Being so young. Yeah. Thank you, King John. Thank you so much. It's been a journey, but we're here in the balance, in the peace. That's all I want. I don't have to have $1 million. Just give me my little computer, my little thing to create. Yeah, and go out in the yard, Lancescurv, and work and take walks and enjoy the culture. But the peace and no chaos. Sleep till you wake up. Enjoy a mango. I don't have to have all the jewelry. I don't have to have 1 million followers. Just let's live balance. That's all I want. 62 years old. If I make it, the creator says, no, you're not going to make it. I'm just saying I'm getting close to it. I'm celebrating that. I made it to 61. You know what I mean? I'm not crazy. I got to fix my teeth away. You know what I mean? But other than that, I'm good. Good. So you took me to the whorehouse and I saw what was going on. Even though testosterone didn't hit my body, I kind of was intrigued by what I was seeing, by the scantily clad, whatever. But I talked to them. They told me different things. And they said, you find a good woman, you know, some of these women out here scandalous and they use you. And they wasn't just negative, but brought me to the core of maybe if I was intrigued about drugs, maybe if I was intrigued about, you know, using sex as a release, like some guys, they just always buying prostitutes or they're just trying to buy women. He was trying to make me see certain things so I didn't get tempted or intrigued because of whatever pain I might be going through and use something as an escape. I talked to guys who were just getting out of prison. There are a lot of those. And he would have them come by and talk with me and sit down and talk with me as much as he can. So there was no curiosity. But this young man was very curious. And he had siblings that all did well. But I would say half of the brothers and sisters They had secrets on different. One was a staunch Christian and everything like that, but something was going on with him. After a while, I'm not going to say I outgrew them, but I evolved. We were always still cool, but we kind of like moved away from each other because that bubble that they were in. Now they were getting grown, a little older, doing their own thing. But the oldest one, we found out, died of AIDS. Now, AIDS is not just something from homosexual sex, but in this case, that's what it was. And the guys he hung around, they all were dropping dead. It's like, wow, that rigid thing, or the one household, you know, they all weren't twins, the family, but with all of that strong, that's the very thing that pushed them out. That's the very thing that made the world in the sin, and I'll just say sin. I'm not preaching. I'm not a preacher. But the sweetness of sin intrigued them more than a person who was introduced to things to show them like, hey, like I was. And I was still nosy. I was still going up in places in New York. I want to see what's going on in there. I want to see, what's that naked lady up there? Let me go up in there and see what's going on. You know, I'm not going to lie, but never did I ever take a needle and put it in my arm. See? I never purchased a woman. I never had a problem with women. I was like, oh man, I got to go get me some money. I got to get me some. I saw women different. It wasn't like, you know what I mean? Even though I had little flings and different things, a lot of things that gave me experience, I never saw them that way. You give me money and you get, no, what about a connection? But this young man, he got so caught up, he got locked up for a long, long time. He had nothing in common with his family. He's an adult now. Well, I'm not saying now. He's dead now. I had to say it that way. And he's so many years younger than me. And I never hung out at his house because of him. It was his brother. But I got to know him and the whole family and be connected to all of them. I can go further with this story to see how twisted it is. But if I spoke to the specifics, they would know I'm putting them out there, even though I don't say any name, and I'm not going to do that. I'll share another aspect of it like it's somebody else, and I won't even say how I said it. So it really happened, and they may not. But the dysfunction, and this is not about religion, but that lid, that pressure cooker of religion. You're inside, when you have a pressure cooker, and if you don't have that lid on there screwed on right, boom. And that's what happens with a lot of us. So going back to the whole, let me flash the whole thing again. So people who are just coming on in can see what we're speaking about today. The genetic divide. Why are we so different? I'll leave that up for a minute or two. But the thing, I got to say, like I just said, I'm going to read off my notes. I've known people like this personally, brothers who shared everything growing up, yet one ended up as a respected professional, while the other spent years in and out of prison. Several situations that I'm talking about, y'all. It wasn't just about opportunity or environment. It seemed as if something was wired differently within them. One had a short fuse, prone to violent outbursts, while the other was calm and level-headed. Science tells us that genetics play a huge role in personality, intelligence, impulse control, and even our ability to make rational decisions. Some people are born with natural resilience, while others seem predisposed to struggle and keep on the same road, no matter how much support they receive. Look, I've said it before. I'm not putting it out there like that, right? But Xavier B, welcome on in. I'm glad you're here. You know what we did not have the replay set. That's why we didn't put it up. We had such a good talk. We have to do it again. We got to do it online. I mean, we got to do it live, right? Because that night that we were going to do it, the power went out and everything. But What a deep, deep, deep. You let me know when you're ready to do it again. We're gonna do it again. And come harder with the questions. And we'll get down even deeper. You know, we got to do it that way. But that was a heck of a discussion that we had. But it's the thing. You just can't tell in these situations. You just can't tell and predict. And this is to go off the path too, but really is supporting it. Yeah, no, we're gonna make it happen again soon, and we're gonna make it better. Because we talk about like about 4 hours or something. And you know, I'll show my face. The only reason why I didn't show my face is because we did it on another platform. We did it on Clubhouse. And I'm on Clubhouse, I don't know how many people here on Clubhouse, but we're gonna start bringing some audio there, and I'll put it up later on. But setting, because they changed things around. Before I was a master at it, but everything was like messed up. But yeah, I've seen people in households. I mean, there was a family not too far from where I live, and they had, of course, they have a last name, but the last name in the neighborhood became synonymous with what? One of them around here? I got to get out of here. When you mention it, the last name, it's trouble. Somebody roughed up, somebody, it's going to be drama. I mean, and when you look back at it, these guys were young. They were teenagers, because I remember from 9, 10 years old, these guys were 14, 15, 16. Then there's always that older brother who's in his 20s, who's locked up, who's like the worst one. He's coming out soon. And when he comes out, the younger brothers take to him. Now, this is true. This is real. I remember I was in the movie theater on Jamaica Avenue, right there by 165th Street. I don't think it's there anymore, right? They turned it into a church. They had two, one on one side, one on the other side. And I went there to watch a movie, and movies, right? And this was back in the 70s when the J train went all the way down to Merrick Boulevard. But, they took that down. If you could remember that, you a Queens veteran, right? I remember watching this movie. I didn't know that a brother from one of these families were in there. He was sitting behind me, right behind me. So everybody's enjoying the movie. They have to always disrupt. I feel like saying one of their names, because I know they may not even be alive now unless one turned around. But, and it's legendary too. It's like a legendary name. There's no crime to say it. I must say it in a little while. Anyway, I didn't know that he was behind me. He was quiet for a while. Then I heard the voice. I was like, uh-oh. And I'm going to say it. Last name was Langhorn. All you had to do, they go Langhorn. Oh, I'm out of here. You in a small bodega. Well, the Langhorn just came in. Because, there were so many brothers. We didn't know which, some people knew the names, but no, you had to say the last name because that was a heads up. So in the neighborhood, which was wonderful at that time, they were the ones. And there was another family that was bad, just as bad as him. And you know what? They all got along. They all got along. They hanging out, the Langhorns and the Scotts. They knew each other. And if they were together, it was synergistic. And they were always like with each other. They didn't see, they were big too. They were big and strong. They always seemed like they were into their own thing where like they can't. If you didn't know them, they ain't bother nobody. When they got around each other, even though they're smiling and laughing, like if they had some beer or something they were drinking at 16, 17, 18 years old, they stole it. If you might see one of them in a car. And then later on by their house, you see the police lights. Like, they always get into some sugar on the iced tea. So I'm sitting there in the movie theater, and I'm saying this for a reason because I want to bring it around back to the topic. All of a sudden, I hear them laughing, the one Langhorn behind me, because I was going to act like I was going to the bathroom and go sit behind them and watch the movie. I didn't want him. Like, he didn't know me. even though I knew him, I was like younger. He didn't know me because I was a couple blocks away. So I'm some little kid. It was like a couple of us watching the movie. So why did this Joker come out? He had a bunch of firecrackers in the movie theater. And he waited until there was some gunfight on the movie. And he lit these things. I didn't know. He lit them and threw them. So they shoot on the movie. He gets up, he runs. When he got up, he kicked my chair. The first firecracker went off in the movie theater, and it's quiet, but there people are watching. Now all of a sudden, you watch the movie, you know, you thinking there's gunfire, and it wasn't that kind of neighborhood, really. So when he got up to run, it scratched the side of my face because I'm trying to run too, because it scared me. And I didn't process that he had firecrackers. I just saw something go up, and it was all happening at one time. All I knew was like, feet don't fail me now. Let me get on up out of here. But for all, and these families that are bad, why is it always a lot of them? 13 brothers and sisters, 18 brothers and sisters. And the sisters in these families, I'm not going to necessarily say they're bad or do anything. They're usually like, chill. It's the brothers that are raising hell. But nobody violates the sisters. And you dare not date one of the sisters, even though they may be nice and cordial and not like their brothers. You don't even want to date them, because if you get in a little argument or some kind of thing going on with them, that's your ASS. But with the other family, the Scotts, there was one daughter. All of the brothers were bad. And I think it was like 17 brothers and one sister. And my mother got to know her because I think she went through one of the classes that my mother taught. And she was the sweetest, most kind, most gentle person, considerate and intelligent. You would never know the family that she had. I don't know about her parents. Sometimes there's always something wrong with the parents when they have a family that's out of control. Sorry for saying that way. But the fruit doesn't fall too far from the tree when all of them are out of control like that. Or usually it's some type of motivation, let's say about them, but there's some kind of something. Either too much, like the former family that I told you about that was so religious, or in this situation. But if you saw Langhorne or a Scott coming, you're like, I'm going down the next block. And you know, when you're like single digit ages or young teenagers, stuff like that, that stigma is in your head. You see them. And the boys, they all had bad eyesight. They had some, remember in Spider-Man comics, Dr. Octopus, and they had them thick glasses, and they would always have their lips hanging down with the thick glasses. Even if you didn't notice, like, that looked like a Langhorne. And there was one who was just a little older than me, Ollie Langhorne. I got to Google that name. I don't know. I'm not wishing nothing bad on nobody, but I know that he might be locked up if he's alive. That Joker was bad. Hopefully, nobody had that name. Oh, Ollie Langhorne. It pulled up, studied at Sydney University, Sydney, Australia. I'm like, yo, and it came up just like that. Let me just look at the images real quick. It's funny. There's a number of white boys. You know, there's a Lancescurv, but he spells Scurvin instead of a U, it's an I. It's A-I. So I know that phonetically the names have been, that name is connected to mine. Sterling is, all this stuff. That's another story. But yeah, Sydney, Australia. The name alone, Ollie Langhorne. These thick glasses coming. He just snatching people's lunch and just snatching stuff. They giving out lunch in the school. The person who's handing it out, whatever, when they turn, grabs 2 trays and just go, hey, eating stuff, dropping all day. I don't care. Always suspended. But this sister was the sweetest individual you ever want to know. But some people with this condition, they don't really have a fighting chance. It's not like they choose this. Now, a lot of times I feel they do, or they go with the flow. But it's not about being lazy or weak. It's just the way their minds work. Some people are wired for success, while others seem doomed to repeat destructive patterns. A lot of us hold on to old friendships or relationships out of nostalgia. But when you have people like this, you better let them go. You see what I mean? Some people you have to let go. Some people you can't hold on to, where there are people like this who come from families where they were all nice at one time, and it's like something goes off genetically where they're all triggered off. Like, what happened to y'all? You know what I mean? You get to a certain age, and I really watch these things. And I want you all to think back in your own life. Like, think about certain people who, they don't have to be troublemakers, right? But somebody who was cool for a while and they just get crazy. Have those who were kind of off, maybe not violent, and they clean their life up. This is not just, to me, it could be a genetic thing, but also too, it's the person, it's the environment, it's different factors. There may be 10% environment, 90% genetic, or maybe circumstances that help them to get this way. They're different. I've known families where they were like the Langhorns or like the Scotts, but that one brother went to the military and it stripped down who he was and built him back up. I mean, I favor the military, right? While the rich politicians and rich folks sit there and watch, their kids don't have to go. So this is the reason why I don't dig it too tough, right? But what is it really? That's my question. What is it really? What's the proportion? What's the proportion of what it is? And I'm going to put a post up on Substack. But these words and there's a chat room there. There's a comment section there. I want to continue this conversation on this one and all of the other ones that I put up there, because Substack will be Lancescurv.com shortly. My friend is dragging his feet. I'm going to give him a call today and see what's up. What's up, man? Let's move on. It's a simple thing. You've been paid already. But this is why I like to study human nature, because there's always signs of what is yet to come. When you really look back, like when we see that little kid that's a little soft or whatever, and then you see him older, but he's now a full-blown homosexual, there's always that grandma who says, I saw it in him from when he was about 6 years old. I already knew what that boy was going to be. You see what I mean? And some of us have the seeds of greatness inside of us, but sometimes they're not activated, and we live, I'm not going to say a mediocre life, because if you choose to work a job and pay your bills, and doesn't mean you have to shoot for the stars and be on the podium and it's not for everybody. Success for you could be just that. Raise your family. That's the best. On social media, there's so many people that are seeking this attention and seeking this fame, and I never sought that. I have my moments where people think that, or they want to accuse me that, oh, you're just this, when it's really them. I'm just relaxed in what I do. I'm not going to be fake. Like I said, I'm getting older. I'm not the man I used to be, making people swing from the chandeliers. Why? I'm still operational. I need my dental work. I got razor bumps, y'all. See my razor bumps? What am I hiding? Be you. I'm comfortable in my skin, and I love who I am. And I love what I am. And I'm relaxed. And all I want to do now is improve and look within, and in my journey, share it with other people who, on these topics, I've learned so much from many of you here. And King James said, interesting, traditional Africans refer to the story of the Langhorn as, oh, I put the comment up and I didn't even read it. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa. That's deep. Oh, I gotta research that. Thank you, King James. I'm glad I said the name. Because in actuality, I don't want to say a family is cursed. But it wasn't like a few incidents, whatever. No, that family really had something on it. It's probably a curse. Because I was very young and coming up, some got killed, some died, but it was always something bad. Shootings and stabbings and muggings and beating people down and doing it for pleasure. Like I can't even comprehend it. I can't even put that on them and say, oh, let's have fun and punch an old man in his face or something. It was always when you saw them, they were about to do something, they were doing something, or they just got out of doing something. But when you know people like this that eventually become that way, like they get activated. What I mean is that they were living a nice life, they're good people, good friends to you, and they start going down a different path, like just out of nowhere, they just start. Like you have friends sometime, and this is rare, but when you're young, and they start drinking and smoking and doing it, and you're like, you discover it, and they've been doing it. They didn't try it out, but they've been doing it. Like, wait a second, when did you start doing this? And you have this funny feeling like the person you thought they were, they're not, and you say to yourself, man, I can't spend time with them no more. And you feel bad, you feel hurt, like you've been deceived, even though they're going to have to be who they are anyway. But people do evolve, maybe change. Maybe they didn't change, but maybe they already had a propensity for this type of behavior. I mean, people drink casually. I'm not saying those. I don't know nothing about all of that, but I'm just saying, like, something extreme. You find out that they do, or this dude that that high esteem, he's beat his wife. Find this out, you're like, oh man, I didn't know he was doing that. And you feel really bad, not only because you were fooled, but you looked up to this person. So with this whole genetic divide, when do these things kick in? Does it stay this way? Can you see it from early? Is some of it will happen where later on you get activated? I mean, you have a man who raised his family, he's with his wife for many years, the kids have grown older, and then you see him walking down that gay street hugged up with another man. Like, second. To each his own, but dude's almost 70. Well, I had to come out, I found myself. When you were making these children and being the perfect father, I mean, all that was a lie? I'm living in my truth now. Did you just discover this, or you've been holding this all while? So why were you holding this and living a lie? Because you wanted to, this is another subject, surround yourself with all things acceptable and hetero and family, and you're a good man and all of this stuff, and you really diddling. So you've been diddling, Diddy style diddling, and living this lie. So how many people are you going to hurt that depended on what they thought was truth or reality? You find out that, say, he's a grandfather and he's 70 years old. Maybe you could be a grandfather and younger, right? Say he's 70 years old and the son is 45, 48. Son is getting up to 2. Then he has children, and the son is a grandfather. That father's a great grandfather. And now the grandson sees his grandfather tonguing down some man in front of a gay bar. That's got to have a ripple effect. And it's not just a gay thing. It could be on drugs, or you do something stupid, end up locked up, or you somewhere and you find out that, and it happens in the Black community a lot. You know somebody for years on a job or whatever, and it's a dangerous situation, right? And I'll tell you a little story. I'm gonna wrap it up soon. because it's early and I do have enough time to come back. And I have things around the house to do, but I'm on top of things. Just got to clean up because the weekend's coming. I want to do some good shows, but you got to be careful with the family thing because, you know, and this happens everywhere. You find out that on Quora, very interesting site. You ask questions, and other people who may be in a certain area of expertise, they answer them, and it takes you to a different realities. But the questions that are answered on all kinds of things. It might be a question on oceanography, it might be a question on the nursing field, it might be on a question on law enforcement thing, prison life, all wonderful stuff. I love it because whatever you could pick the categories of what you want to see, right? But there's this one situation, and I'm saying this because you got to be careful in all communities, but you got to be careful, especially in the Black community. There's a story where this was real now. This wasn't just a story. I'm just saying it that way. Where this man who went out to purchase a woman for her service. The woman comes to the house, and they have services like that where they're supposed to be trustworthy, and it's not some crackhead looking at the acacia joint and steal or whatever. I don't know that world, but I know that world from other people, right? And he had this alcohol service. He requested an older woman. He liked older women, not somebody like 80 years old, incontinent. No, this guy's like 25, but he wanted somebody like in the late 40s, well kept. That's what did it for him. So the woman came, and they got along well. They did everything. He requested her back next week, and he fixated on her. So they started dealing outside of the agency that sent her over there as a prostitute, because this is what it was. So they had their own arrangement. Bottom line, they were sitting back talking, and she stayed a little bit. She got to know him a little more. So she had to go because she's still a prostitute. But she kicked back for a while because she was tired. She's like, I'm not going to work for the rest of the day. You know, I'll stay here with you an extra 30 minutes. It wasn't any sex or anything. They had a different kind of bond. He couldn't figure it out, and she couldn't figure it out. But she spoke about her son that, y'all know where I'm going with this. Her son that when she was going through some troubled times, he gave him up for adoption. And so he's like, wow, you know, I wonder, do you ever, you know, find him, locate him? I said, no, I haven't. I lost contact or whatever. And it hit him. He's like, wait a second, I'm adopted. Y'all know where I'm going with this. The prostitute was his mother. He been screwing his mother. You got to be careful. On the other hand, we have people who are fathers. It's harder for the woman to hide something, right? But the father can have a woman down the road and lady up here, and this happened 3 times, or this happened 1 time under different circumstances, and you don't know who your brothers and sisters are. You out there messing around and not checking up and finding out, especially if you're in a small town situation, it makes it worse. But I know somebody personally who, how can I don't want to really say it where I'm revealing it, right? And he probably don't even care if I told it, right? But there was a girl, a woman, in the town where his mother grew up in before she came to New York City, down in the South somewhere. I'm not going to say where, but he went down there to the town because the folks, his folks went down there to live and retire. So he went down there and he lived there for a little while. And you know, back in the day, it's not as much now, but when you're from New York, we didn't have social media back then, and you go into the South. I'm saying back then, but the social media was around at this time, but it was still budding. So you have the small town in the South, real small town. Different. All that's blended now because all over the country, in the United States, social media is blending. You know, it used to be where if you had a song come out locally in Florida or the South and people are rocking to it, it'd be months before it comes to New York. Just the same way with songs up there coming down. That's how slow things were. Things were slow, y'all. It depended on magazines, newspapers. The news might say something, but things circulated slower. The same way the news of who's who in your family. Well, he met this girl, young woman, and it was mainly a I like you kind of thing, and I want to have sex with you, but we're not in a relationship. So they were sneaking with each other and just enjoying sex. All kind of, oh, hey, you know, he's my buddy. I didn't want to hear all those details, but wasn't nothing they didn't do. And then one time, it's funny. It's funny, y'all. He was in the Walmart, and he had family all over the place. You know, he had aunts that he didn't even know, right? So he's in the Walmart with his mother. Rest her soul. She transitioned. Sweet lady, I know her all my life. And he's meeting this aunt of his that he never knew. So the young lady that he was messing around with was his cousin. And so as he's there talking to the aunt, his mother says, oh, here's your cousin. Have you met her yet? Hamada. It was like Ralph Cramden on The Honeymooners. Cousin. And so she walks up like to her mother, like who, you know, she knew her aunt. And that's her mother. She said, oh, come meet your cousin. And they had to play it off. They were in shock. Let me tell you how grimy my friend was. He was like, I was so far in. Like, he didn't say it to him. He told me he's crazy. I was so far in, and it was so good. Man, we ain't stopped. We got together that night. I'm like, man, you crazy. There's some people like that. It's a real story. That's a real story. But other than that, he's grimy, but he'll be real with you. But he won't start something grimy. He wouldn't have gone after her if he knew that. But he's the kind of guy like that. In so many other ways. Funny situation. But I'm going to wrap this down, but just look at this topic and people that you know and think about life. How some families are not just twins, but you can have the same upbringing. Look at me. I'm not like some super successful corporate type, or I have all this money and no, I'm a regular dude who made moves, who sacrificed. Mrs. Scurv, especially, it's not just me. I would not be here if it wasn't for Mrs. Scurv, right? The two of us pulling together. I'm going to say that publicly. A lot of times I don't say a lot of things, but I'm going to say that. Maybe I could have done some things and it would have been on a smaller level, but together, synergistically, you know, two people could be like 25. So I'm not one of them dudes that is just all give props. Because I love black women and I know I love my sisters, and I'm gonna give the credit it's due. There's no ego here, narcissism here. I would not have achieved all of this if it wasn't for her. I would have probably achieved something, a little something, yeah. I know I'm not a slouch, but not in all the other things, right? But oh God, Leo, I was gonna talk about my brother. Look at me and my brother. 11 years older than me, has a different father, but still, we came from the same womb. All his life, drugs. Brilliant. I always say how brilliant he is. Guada 9, welcome on in. I saw you and it didn't register because I'm running my mouth. My wheels were spinning. But thank you. Thank you for asking to hit the like button. That really does help, y'all. All my life, I see the brilliance. It's like a overcast day that's raining. Of course, it's going to be overcast. Rain all day. And then for 5 minutes, the sun comes out. You're like, oh man, it's going to be a good day after all. Then you hear, and it's back raining again. He would show flashes of brilliance and just get caught up in this drug thing. To this day, I know he's alive. I haven't physically seen him since 1998. We bumped into each other in Manhattan on 26th Street off of, was it 7th Avenue? I think no, 7th Avenue. 5 minutes we talked and whatever. He was clean. He keeps himself clean. Trying to hit me for $5. You know, before that, last time, 5 years before that, I had to run all of them out of my mother's house. Right? He was in there doing all kind of stuff. She kind of knew, but she was powerless. That's right before she passed away. So I dealt with a lot of heartache and stuff, and that's why human nature means a lot to me. Like the study of it. You don't have. I have to go to school and college. Yeah, if you want to be in that profession, but just like a person who is a weekend athlete. I'm like a weekend athlete on human nature, but it's not just a weekend. I love long conversations. I love hearing stories. I love processing things, figuring things out on how we work as human beings and how we, because now I'm not saying I'm such a scholar, but I have a lot of it down where I'm aware of it to the point where I can see two people that don't know each other and I know how they're going to react with each other because I know their makeup. It's like some people, I don't want to even have them get around each other because it's going to be an explosion. When I used to throw parties, my legitimate parties, there would be I knew who to invite. Like, if this guy comes to this party, it's going to be off. Whatever, she might get a comedian or just, I could see it. When she reacts with you, it's going to be, you know what I mean? I was always good that way. And that's something that interests me. And that has helped me too. I don't have to get into certain confrontations. Or once I start feeling like, I'm not going to be around this person. I don't want nothing to do with this person here. Not that I think I'm better, but it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good for me. Right? Anyway, let me run. I got to make a few phone calls right now. It's beautiful. It's like heaven. Got to get out there. Got to get some color in my skin. Right? I'm going to come back with something later on and a couple things and articles and whatever, but I'm going to start cleaning up. And it's better to do these things in the daylight because the other days I've been waking up late and doing stuff at night and you can't really see real good. And then you put the lights on, but it's nothing like sunlight. Beautiful thing. Feeds us too. Free food, free energy. We just have to know how to tap into it. Anyway, much love to you all. Lancescurv out. I'm going to run right now. It's been good. Thank you. Salute to my brothers. Much love. Mwah. To my sisters. Anything else? I don't know nothing about it. Right? That's what God made. Look, me and Trump agree on that. There's two sexes, right? I don't know nothing about anything else. It's the only thing that can produce life. And we're here to ascend and get more into the life. It's a wonderful life. And don't let the negativity and negative spirits get at you. Right? Much love to you all. Take care.